Namaste children. The next chapter is a voyage into space. What do you see in the sky? Stars. Sun is a star. Now, the moon's orbit is tilted. 5 degrees it is tilted. So, the moon revolutes around the planet Earth. See, the path in which the moon revolves around the sun is called as orbit. So, this orbit is tilted 5 degrees. The distance of the moon from the earth is about 3,75,000 kilometers. This is 9.5 times the circumference of the earth at its widest part. Now, how long does the moon take to revolute around the earth once? We see moon because it reflects light from the sun. When we see the complete round moon, what do you call it? Can you answer? Now, moon is the natural satellite of the earth. Coming to the phases of the moon. Now, in these pictures, the first one is the full moon. Next, from the full moon, this is the dark area which is not receiving the sunlight. So, this part is dark. This is called as waning gibbous. That means 3/4 of the moon is bright, 1/4 is dark. Next is third quarter of the moon. Third quarter of the moon is 3 parts of the moon. That is 1/3 of the part is dark and only the remaining part is bright. Next, waning crescent. Here, almost a ray-like, bow-like shape will be bright, receiving sunlight, remaining part is dark. Then, from there, the total moon is not receiving sunlight. That is called as new moon. From the new moon, the waxing moon. That means slowly again the sun will be falling, rays will be falling on the moon. So this part which is bright after the new moon is called as waxing crescent. Then the first quarter, then waxing gibbous, then again goes to the full moon. So this repeats alternate after every 15 days. So this is called as phases of the moon. Now, when did man landed on the moon? Do you know? It is July 1969. They found that the surface of the moon was rough and uneven. There were huge craters, enormous rocks, and steep mountains on the moon. Fine dust covered everything on the moon. It seemed that there was no air or water. So, there were no plants or animals. Any journey through space requires enormous preparations. So, how the astronauts manage on the moon? Then, how they will carry oxygen along with them, because There is no atmosphere on the moon. The astronauts set up a circular dish to reflect radio signals to and from the Earth. It took only 1.25 seconds for a message from the moon to reach the Earth. Do you know what is gravity? It's nothing but whenever you are throwing something in upward direction that falls towards the Earth. So, why this free fall is seen? Because Earth pulls every object with some force towards it, which is known as gravity. So, the pull or the attraction of Earth by pulling every object towards it is called as gravity or force of gravity. The force of gravity will be much less on the moon rather than on the earth. If you throw a ball up on the moon, it would go much further before falling back. The low gravity means that astronauts on the moon could lift much heavier objects than they could on the earth. They could walk around with great big steps in spite of a heavy spacesuits that they were wearing. In order to get to the moon, a lunar module placed on the top of a rocket was fired from the Earth. The speed of the rocket was about 40,000 kilometers per hour, which helped it to escape from the Earth's gravity. The astronauts lived and worked in the module. Do you know? On 8th November 2008, India sent its first unmanned Chandrayaan-1 space mission to the moon. This mission will study the surface of the moon and collect information on the rocks and minerals found there. Chandrayaan-1 has a camera and has taken pictures of the Earth and the moon. This mission was planned and launched by the Indian Space Research Organization, that is ISRO. The force of the moon is much less. When you compare its force with the Earth, it is 1/6 that of the Earth. That means 6 times less than the Earth's gravity. So, now once again, what is gravity? Gravity is the force of attraction between two bodies or two objects or two masses anywhere in the universe. Now, here is the astronaut on the moon. Now, Neil Armstrong was the first man to step onto the moon. These are the Indian astronauts. Can you name them? How? The rockets and satellites. Many rockets have carried satellites into space. These artificial satellites remain in the orbit around the Earth. They carry out scientific experiments and send the results back to Earth. Some satellites are communication satellites. They receive and reflect radio and television programs. They link together countries which are far apart. They help us to see live telecasts of events that are taking place in far off countries. Some weather satellites have cameras that take pictures of clouds over the earth. Weather scientists or meteorologists use these pictures to forecast or tell in advance what the weather will be like in different parts of the earth. The satellites warn of typhoons, hurricanes, and cyclones. Have you seen the pictures in the daily newspapers about the weather report? They have been taken by a weather satellites called INSAT launched by India